Propel Fitness Water. With Gatorade electrolytes, zero sugar, and vitamins, Propel hydrates better than water to help you get the most out of your workout and get back to your best self. What propels you? Propel with Gatorade electrolytes.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. Listening to this podcast instead of doom scrolling? Smart move. Another smart move? Getting help from one of State Farm's 19,000 local agents when you choose to bundle home and auto. Bundling, just another way to save with the Personal Price Plan. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
This episode is brought to you by Google Chrome. You think you know a browser, but Gemini and Chrome? That's new. It can help you with practically anything on the web, like restoring a vintage motorcycle from a 50-page restoration blog, or finally break down that long article you've had open for weeks. Gemini and Chrome is here for it. Ready to make anything online make sense? There's no place like Chrome. Check responses, setup required, compatibility and availability varies, 18+.
From the Fifth Quarter Studios in Madison, Wisconsin, you're listening to Coach Unplugged. And now, your host, Steve Collins.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Coach Unplugged. So excited you decided to join us today. Before I jump into the podcast, go over and leave a 5-star review. We really love those reviews. Leave some comments. I read all of them, and we would really appreciate that. But before we get started, I definitely want to give a big shout out to our two sponsors. First of all, Dr. Dish, the #1 shooting machine on the market, bar none. Mention Coach Unplugged, you get $450 off, and you'll get the best customer service you'll ever expect. Just mention Coach Collins, and they'll take really good care of you. Also, go over and check out teachhoops.com for coaches who want to get better. It is the one-stop shop for basketball coaches. It's something. When I started teachhoops.com, it was what I would have wanted as a young coach before, all the state championships and all the nationally ranked teams that I've coached. And not to brag, just to kind of tell kind of my journey, I would have killed for this stuff because it would have made my life so much easier. A little bit of everything that you need to become a better basketball coach. And we are the only people out there that offer a 14-day free trial because we believe in it so much. Follow the roadmap, work on your craft, and you get me one-on-one mentoring. So I can't imagine anything better than that. I don't know. Anyway, go over and check it out, and let's head off to the podcast.
Well, first, if you see me drinking my flavored water or my cheeseburger, I just got done coaching a soccer game, so I'm trying to fit all this stuff in. I'm off tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
But the question, let's stay on task because
Yes.
the season, people are getting in the midst of their season. We have several people who have asked questions on our Facebook page, and so one of the questions was, how do you establish your offense the first 2 weeks of practice?
That's a great question. I mean, so we're kind of tweaking our offense. So if anyone's listening to this, better come scout us. I think it really has to be broken into small little pieces. So we have literally after tryouts, we have broken it down into small pieces where we're teaching them. We're doing small-sided games. We're teaching them specific moves or specific things that we want them to be able to do in the offense. And then we're bringing it back up into the entire offense. I think the problem, especially with a lot of youth coaches, is they just throw it in there. If they're running dribble drive or read and react, whatever they're running, and they just throw it in and they don't break it into – you got to break it into small skill sets. So I think – and we've talked about this. I think it's really important to map out your season, especially the first couple of weeks, of what do you need in for your first opponent. And you definitely need – a basic offense that probably can work against both man and zone. I mean, establishing it is important, especially if you're a fast or slow paced team. You have to establish that quickly and often. Some of the teams I've had, literally practice was a track meet. I mean, I would be tired after an hour and 20 minutes because it was, and then I've also had other teams where we just worked on setting screens and grinding and, taking 35 seconds off the clock every time. So I think those things are extremely, what you establish early, for having 40 kids in your classroom, you can vouch for this. Those things that you establish early on the offensive end are going to stick with you for a long time unless you have to break those habits. But how do you do it?
Well, I think first off, you have to look at the three components of a good offense. and you have to explain that to your players off. So no matter what you do offensively, you have to have really good spacing. You have to be able to have player movement and ball movement in everything that you do. I think if you can focus on that early in the season, the perfect screening and all that stuff, it's not going to happen.
No.
If you get the guys to do that early, I think no matter offense that you're running, I think those are the three things you've got to constantly look at, almost like a rubric. Are we doing these things within our offense? And then you try to better those as you continue on throughout the season. I think you made a great point is establishing your tempo. That's huge. Because it is just it's trying to figure out what kind of team you're going to be early in the season.
You have to figure that out early too, and it's like you got to establish it with them, and it's a mental part.
And then you got to be careful how much you front load. Are you doing too many sets? Are you going 5 or 6 different offenses? And sometimes it's easier to be simple. I like to be very simple offensively and more complex defensively. And that's just been something that I've learned from years past is that, sometimes it's really about getting a lot of shots off and finishing and keeping it simple offensively and then making defense a little bit more complicated in regards to making it harder on the opponent.
Defense is going to be farther along early too.
Right. I think also then designing breakdown drills within your offense, just don't choose breakdown drills because you think they're awesome. They have to be relatable to what you're doing offensively, so you can constantly build on what you're doing.
Like
everything
if you're setting a lot of flare screens, you got to do things with flare screens. If you're setting back screens, if you're setting, down whatever, maybe you're not screening, maybe you're working on dribble drive and rotate, all those things. You have to build that in quickly and fast, and we're just talking, and that I'm just referring to the half court part. If you're thinking tempo, oh my God, it's like that takes months unless they've been doing it since they're in 3rd grade. The tempo thing is a harder thing. It's easier to slow them than then speed them up.
Right. And one thing that I notice is that a lot of times people like to start things. I like to do things out of a side, out of balance, or out of inbounds. It seems like sometimes they just want to restart everything, like taking the ball on the top of the key. There's never in the game where you start into your offense with just starting in the top of the key.
Ooh, I love that. That's true.
And so often I think people make that mistake of constantly grinding in the half court. All right, let's go from a side out of bounds play into our offense. Side out of bounds play into our offense.
Here's the question I have for you, and I've thought about this too. It's like, how often do we really get side out of bounces into offense or underneath into offense? How many possessions in a game?
It's like, I think it's really about the progression game. I used to love to do progressions. All right, so we're going to go 4 or 5 minutes hard or 4 or 5 lengths down the court. Take a free throw, do it again. Process, do it again. Do it again, do it again. Because I just don't think you should constantly be stuck in the half court because I think it becomes monotonous. It doesn't become authentic, and it's too easy. It becomes too easy, and kids don't cut. They just stand. They don't move. It's just not a good way to really build your offense. You want to try to do things out of the full court into your offense.
Yeah, and I think you hit a point too early that spacing part is really hard for them.
Right.
It is really hard for them to get that spacing down to truly understand what's going on.
And really, the spacing starts on the initial break to your area on the offensive side of the floor. Are our guys getting wide? And it's hard to establish if you're constantly doing it in the half court. Guys are, you get them wide and stay wide and go into that, and then start to take things away. People get comfortable in things that are happening. If you're a pack line defense, maybe once in a while you got to try to go against a defense that's going to play more up the line. Start to challenge the defense to give them different looks, or go five people on your offense and 6 guys on defense. Make it a little bit harder. Add some trapping. All those things. And be really good at 1 or 2 things early on, and then if you can do that, then you can go on to the next level. But
those are your building blocks. Those are your building blocks.
Slow to go fast.
Yeah, I agree. All right, anything else on that? That's great. I think that don't overcomplicate things, I think, is one of the big takeaways too. You don't need what you're going to be running 3 months from now in that first 2 weeks. You need the basics, and you need to pound the basics so that they learn to read things within your offense.
All right, Coach. Question of the day is, you're at a away game, what's the one thing you always buy at a concession stand?
I don't do it. I'm a big blow pop person, so that's for volleyball. That's definitely a thing. But one of my assistants always buys the opposing school's popcorn, and then we have a running scale of who has the best popcorn.
I like that. I like that.
So we always say, I always ask, like, where does this rank? It's like so John always buys one, and then we kind of rank the popcorn, because
I would say the only thing I ever buy at a concession stand is usually a pick-me-up. So either a soda or something that get me going if I'm I'm dragging. Other than that, I never tend to buy anything because my stomach is too sick. And
the only good thing is, like, we usually sometimes have leftover hot dogs. They're so good. They're disgusting if you do any sort of research on what's in a hot dog.
Yeah, but hot dogs in the grills are really good too.
Yeah, there's something about sitting in that water for 3 hours and then eating it tastes good.
Yeah,
it's so bad. I don't remember last time we bought hot dogs in this house, but I had to basically Heimlich both of our kids on hot dogs. I did. I mean, it was like projectile. It's like a huge choking hazard.
So in the end, don't eat hot dogs either.
Yeah, don't eat hot dogs. All right,
live a longer life.
All right, till next week, Coach.
Yep.
Couple weeks. Countdown.
Yep.
All right,
sounds
bye.
good. Bye.
Hey, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the podcast. Make sure you subscribe and like no matter where you listen, Apple, Spotify. We love those 5-star reviews. Make sure you also go over and check out teachhoops.com for coaches who want to get better.
This episode is brought to you by ChatGPT. Hey, it's Bill Simmons from the Bill Simmons Podcast. Have you guys heard about ChatGPT work? It's the new way to use ChatGPT for bigger multi-step projects. And when you need more than just answers, give ChatGPT work access to your apps and files, and it can create real work documents like spreadsheets, slides, and structured reports. Get started at chatgpt.com by selecting work mode, available on Plus and Pro plans.
Hi, Ryan Reynolds here for Mint Mobile. Are you looking for a beach read this summer? May I suggest your big wireless bill? It's got suspense, mystery, a slightly flat, emotional arc, and a shocking twist where you realize you've been overpaying the entire time. Fortunately, though, Mint's story is better. Every plan, $15 a month, even unlimited. That's it. Happy ending, 0 tears.
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan required. $15 per month equivalent. Taxes and fees extra. Initial plan term only. Greater than 50 gigabytes may slow when network is busy. See terms.